Well, for starters, not that this really matters because none of your teammates are going to follow it, but it's usually better to just invade through here rather than there. Okay, what is this Fiesta? Hang on. It's fucking bugged. Okay, we find a lone misfortune there. Fortune flashes away. Yeah, I don't know if I'd kite to the left there. A bit risky in case you start losing the fight, but yeah, also not really the greatest option to focus Zach, but if your team is doing it, not much else you can do about it. Worked out pretty well for you though. Is Xayah really good for an invade? Like without QE is pretty average? Nah, she's pretty bad level 1. But usually if you're invading you have the advantage just because you have the element of surprise. And you're already grouped and the enemy team isn't guaranteed to be grouped. Okay, so here I wouldn't be shoving. What you want to do here is you just want to just slow push, freeze, whatever. Same technique, just the outcome is different. But here, like that auto attack into this backline, completely necessary. You want this wave to be like as close to the middle of the lane as possible. So Blitz can actually pressure for a hook. It's a bit different if you have an enchanter or something, which can poke on the turret, but Blitz is pretty much not a champion unless he is able to look for hooks. You might just want to back though, I guess, because you sitting on a lot of gold, but probably the easiest way to back will just be to crash the third wave. I don't know why I blitzed back there, but you should not be trading 1v2 even if you have a level advantage there. That was really troll of Blitz to just back there though. Because you want to be backing soon, because you've already got gold to spend. Yeah, if you get this third wave, then you're going to be able to back for double longsword, which is a really good early power spike. So usually you just want to be shoving here. They don't seem to be wanting to pressure you for some reason, so I would just be using Q on the wave. Then if Lulu's walking up on her own, you can try and hit her and force her back. Yeah, this is really awkward since Bliss just recalled for no reason. I would definitely not be looking for trades here. What you want to do is just immediately shove. You don't have any reason to stay here and continue laning, especially now that you've already lost a ton of HP thanks to Blitz. At this point though, it's kind of unrealistic prospect to be able to shove here, because they just have more HP than you. You may be a level up, but your Blitzcrank is level 1. They should have prio here, but you've already got enough gold for the longsword, double longsword back, so right about the time when you realize that, like, let's see when that is. Yeah, I shouldn't have gone for that trade, but right about here, I look at this wave and I'm thinking, this is going to push towards us. You can just go into this brush and just see if you can get away with backing there. Because it will take you very little time to back there. And they're probably not just going to shove this as fast as possible, because they wouldn't really expect you to recall just like right in the middle of the lane. If you get away with this back, you get into base, you buy your double longsword, and you enter a lane, and you'll arrive in time before this wave gets to the turret. Are you reviewing a viewer game? So what elo is it? It's silver, I believe. And yes. Yeah, at this point, you two are not really going to be able to do much, even if Blitz lands a hook, probably, because you're just too low. Yeah, I mean, when you're that low, you also can't really be going for trades there. That's too aggressive. Yeah, unfortunately, you also do just gonna have to back here, I think, because you are really easily tower diveable. However, actually, they're just not even punishing that, so I guess you get away with this. Probably. Fortunately, might have another Dark Harvest stack now, though. Nope, not yet. But now you're in a really tough spot because of that. If you'd not gone for that trade, you would have a much easier time just getting all these last hits. Now, Lulu can literally just flash on you and kill you. You have to stay really far away from Lulu because she has Ignite. Actually, she doesn't have Flash. I don't know when that went down, actually, but... Yeah, okay, you can stay a bit further away from her, but you also gotta watch out for the EQ from her. So you really can't go for many last hits here. I would wait until this wave is done. Oh. Wow. Yeah, I would wait until this wave is dead and then just recall. Even if it means you have to miss another wave after that. Yeah, honestly, at this point, Blitz is dead. You're at like 10 HP, just back at this point. This was all definitely avoidable though if you'd backed when this was clearly pushing towards you. You can't back in that situation if the wave if it's like a proper freeze where the enemies are just gonna have the wave pushing towards them constantly anyway. But if the wave pushing towards you but very slowly so that they can't instantly crash it, or they're not gonna instantly crash it because they don't expect you to back it straight away, then that's just a really nice back. It'll catch them off guard. Bliss really trolled there for the cannon. The Bliss was really trolled twice in a row, or not even twice, like quite a few times. FXR. Okay, so here I would probably just slow push this wave, then crash the next one. Maybe even slow push the next two waves, but you definitely can't make them miss any CS here by shoving, so what you're doing here is right, just slow pushing. Hitting that HP when it's full HP, there's no point in that. You only did it once, so it's not a big deal, but just think about whether your auto attacks are necessary. Yeah, here it might be smart to just consider crashing this wave, so you're guaranteeing a bounce back as it reaches the turret. However, if you do it too slowly, it's not going to bounce back, so... Okay, nice. Yeah, the only problem with pushing this third wave here, because it was a cannon wave, is maybe this is pushing like too hard on its own. And you're gonna have to be too overextended to shove in this next wave. But yeah, I think you can do it. You should be definitely looking to crash this next wave. Because even if they have the range advantage and Blitz hasn't hit a hook, like you had such a big wave at the time, it would not be too smart of them to try and trade into it. However, the longer you wait, the more your wave thins out. And yeah, at this point they can easily just try and bully you off, and the only chance of them dying is if Blitz lands a hook. I don't know what they're doing here. Are they getting a gank? At this point, I would just assume, yeah, Zach has to be somewhere. There's no other reason why they would do that. Alright, we'll go back a sec there. Blitz's main role was made according to Mobilytics. Yeah, it's pretty obvious he's auto-filled. Is it okay to auto-attack CS for the Omnivamp? Not really. Not unless you have a significant amount of lifesteal. Because if you just have the 2.5% from Doran's Blade, it's not going to result in much. Each auto-attack is going to be worse for you than it is good for you if you're only doing it for the Omnivamp. And if you would otherwise just want to slow push. But yeah, here, like Misfortune doing this, it doesn't make any sense. Blitz can easily hook her here, so you also have no vision apparently. That's another issue. Should have already had a ward there, but at this point you have to assume that Zach has to be probably there. The only thing that makes sense. There's no other reason why she would do this, so don't even bother trading. You should just be running. It's fine to use W and just auto attack once just for that movement speed boost, but going for the root, completely unnecessary. And yeah, he took so long to execute that gank that if you had just ran right away, nothing happens here. That was really poor execution from them, but it still works out. You have to, like, to me, that's really obvious, like, what's happening there. They're obviously getting a gank. Even in low elo, like, they would not just walk up like that out of nowhere and just try and kill you. That just does not happen. The only possibility there is that you're getting ganked. That's a pattern you've got to learn to recognize. Nice. What's the best way to accomplish that? Accomplish what? Sorry. Isn't it better to usually go for Doran's Shield for champs against Misfortune Silver Torch that can easily poke you? No. Doran's Shield scales terribly. It's so bad on ADC. If you want sustain, you want to do Longsword 3 potions. It'll only help you before your first back usually if you have to use all 3 potions quite fast, but that's when the sustain matters most anyway. accomplish crashing the wave? Yeah, so if it's a cannon wave, for example, the cannon, once your wave has the advantage, which is what you want, because you want it to be pursuing towards them, just slowly. The cannon wave will usually just shove really fast because it's got a cannon in it. So on a cannon wave, I would slow push that first wave, then crash the next one. By crashing, I just mean just using Q on the wave. You anger your feathers to hit as many minions as possible. Use E if possible, if you don't need it to like use onto the enemies to trade. They shouldn't usually be able to just trade back onto you anyway, because you have a much bigger wave at that point. If you arrive into lane first and you guarantee that the wave starts pushing towards them, and they only arrive on like the second wave, you've already built up a wave advantage and you've got another big wave coming. They should not be able to really trade against you there unless they're super ahead, which in this circumstance, they were a little bit ahead, but not really enough to be like enough of a concern. And then the reason you want to hard shove that next one instead of maybe the third one is just because like it's going to be pushing so fast. Your wave will end up around here, which is like pretty risky to try and shove there. Maybe you get ganked by Zac. They're also pretty close to their turret, so they're not too much in danger of getting hooked by Blitz. Yeah, this is good. You didn't have to back off there. You're a much stronger 1v1 champion than Misfortune. You saw how much damage you did there. That was not really potential to one-shot there, but like if anything goes wrong, you just ult. You just keep going aggressive after the root. Just keep auto-attacking. And if she gets out of your range, that's when you use ult to try and finish her off. Or if Lulu shows up and you need to go on the run, but like they wouldn't be able to do much against you. Most you would probably need to use ult for there is if Misfortune is ulting you from out of your range while you're running from Lulu, and then you just need to use ult to dodge the Misfortune ult. Okay, that's not a great angle for a root, unfortunately. Yeah, that's a little bit unfortunate, but definitely could have played that better. Hang on. Alright, we'll go back here. Alright, so this is really good that Blitz lands the hook here. But the first thing I notice here is that this is a really awkward angle to try and land the root from. This, and that's not your fault. This is just like the circumstances it happened. If you were here, for example, you use Q, you use W, you set up some feathers with the autos and the Q. And Lulu has to run in the direction of the feathers, and there's pretty much no way she can escape that unless she like tries to run diagonally, but she's still probably gonna get hit by the feathers if you place them fast enough. However, here, you have to place the feathers like here into the wall, and if she's trying to run, she's running away from the feathers and to safety at the same time. It's really awkward. So what I would do here, W is fine, because you want to do as much damage as possible here to try and burst down the Lulu. But my thinking here is that Lulu is just pretty much almost never going to die here. You're not going to be able to hit her probably with the entire feather combo. So what you want to do is, hitting her is fine, but don't bother using Q. What you want to use Q for is once Misfortune walks up here to try and back up Lulu, which is kind of what she has to do if she wants any chance of winning this fight. Then you turn on to Misfortune instead, and you Q her, and she's not going to be able to dodge the feathers anywhere near as easily. This is also a kind of situation where the whole, focus the ADC concept that I explained in my bot guide video applies, but it's doubly so because of both, wanting to focus the ADC, but also because of the fact that you're just never going to be able to snare Lulu here. That gives you like twice as many reasons to just want to focus Misfortune here instead. As soon as Misfortune comes into your range. If she never comes into your range, because honestly, that would be a losing fight for them if you focus Misfortune, then you can just keep going aggressive onto Lulu. And eventually you use the feathers on Q when you have a better angle. Like here, for example, let's say you weren't so low. Let's say Misfortune never tried to back up Lulu. Here, you actually have an angle where it is much more likely that you snare Lulu if you use one feather auto and then follow it up with Q and then E. Here, much more likely you actually burst Lulu down. But at the moment, she still got ult. I don't think she ever got snared. And at this point, you've been taking a bunch of damage from Misfortune, so you're kind of low. Yeah, and you just committed way too hard for a Lulu kill that I could tell you right from the start was just not really going to happen from that angle. Aside from how tanky she is with her ultimate and her shield and shit, it's just not the right angle for that. You know why Blitz ran away after the hook too? Let me see that. I mean, true, but at the same time, he's not really going to be too easily able to contribute anymore unless there's any more CC here, because he has to run after Lulu and she's running away from him. Even if he joins in here, he's not. It would take him ages to even be able to auto attack Misfortune, and he can't auto attack Lulu, and he has no cooldowns left unless he has ult. Nah, it doesn't have ult. The only problem here is that you didn't turn on to Misfortune when she turned on to you. You can't afford to ignore Misfortune there, and even aside from that, there was just no chance of bursting Lulu there, not from that angle. Definitely, it might have gone better if Blitz had chase from the start, but it didn't really matter, like in terms of you dying. That was gonna happen regardless if you didn't turn on to Misfortune there, and you kept on chasing after Lulu. If you didn't turn on to Misfortune as you didn't, then you should have eventually realized, oh shit, Misfortune has already burst me really hard. I've used up all my cooldowns. I have nothing left to fight her with. At that point, you gotta run. You gotta turn around and just leave it. She can't chase you down in the turret, and you have to accept that you also can't chase down Lulu for the kill. Okay, now it's really awkward because now she's got a pretty big lead, but yeah, that was a pretty good trade. If you had ultimate, you could try and extend that, but without ult, it's too risky. Yeah, at the moment, you probably just want to play it pretty safe until you've got the clips to match your Kraken Slayer. If they're on Drake, what I would be doing right now is just shoving in this wave. Actually, they're not on Drake. I don't know why they're in the river. Oh, they're just in Scuttle. Yeah, there's no point trying to steal this. Even if you succeeded, like, it's just kind of pointless when you can just shove in this wave and make them miss CS. Again, over chasing there. Does Blitz land a hook here, I guess? Yep, hits a hook, and it's onto Misfortune. I don't know, you did not have to walk so far into Misfortune here. I don't know if you had cooldowns. Yeah, unfortunately you didn't, to just combo your CC with blitzes, but you can just walk up to Misfortune and just start hitting her. No need to walk into, like, melee range and then get knocked up by Lulu. But then at that point, when Blitz is already this far away, even before Misfortune starts channeling ult, you should already be saying, like, ages ago, like, oh, there's nothing left to do here. You can't 1v2. Let me just see exactly why you did that. So yeah, hook lands. I don't know if you... Maybe you were just misclicking here. That's why you walked into melee range. If that was the case, look into using attack move. It's a lifesaver for these kind of situations. But yeah, then that goes wrong. So you guys see it a bit when you should have been hitting Misfortune. Yeah, at this point, Blitz has no cooldowns. Again, he has no cooldowns left to contribute. All he could do is just try and chase people down and auto them. This, I look at this and I don't see a winning fight. Blitz running away makes perfect sense. I think you should both be running away. Over chasing here, it's just a mistake. I can see why you went for it. I mean, you were pretty close to killing Misfortune, but there was just nothing Blitz could have done to contribute there. Okay, so how much gold do you have here? 400. You need about 850, right, for the Eclipse upgrade? So, yeah, you're gonna be stuck in lane for a while longer. What I would do here is, now you've got this massive wave, you could probably just look to crash this. Because you... Like, again, you're gonna have more limited chances to actually crash a wave the closer it gets onto their side of the lane. Especially against Zac. So yeah, I would crash this in as best as you can. And hopefully Blitz will try and stop Lulu from freezing this. Then you definitely want to play some wards. I don't know if you have vision. Yeah, you have one trinket. Already got some vision there, although that's about to run out, so I would just replace that vision either here or a bit further into the river. I think, are they on Drake? Yeah, that's really risky of you actually to walk up that far, come to think of it. I guess you couldn't see the Drake particles, but you know the enemy team is on Drake, or you know they're in the area, I want to walk up that far. Okay, so hang on, let me look at this again, because I didn't even notice they were on Drake. It explains why they were gone from lane for so long, though. Okay, so shove this out. At this point, you should be wondering exactly where Misfortune is, because you should be in lane already. So I guess you make the correct assumption that they're on Drake, maybe, because you did go up toward that when I would have just warded here in the river. But yeah, I mean, like, I'm just looking at this and I'm thinking, if they're on Drake, you should probably just die here. You were way too close to that. I guess Xayah was at the back of the pit for some reason. Yeah, here. I mean, from this point on, there's nothing to do about this Drake. There's no way you can contest this. What I would do here is, at the moment, you can't return to the lane either. You're going to be way overextended. You can actually just farm the Gromp instead. It'll recover you a little bit of HP. If you don't have if you can't burst it down fast enough, or you don't have enough lifesteal, you won't actually recover any HP, but you won't lose it either because the Gromp heal is so powerful, and it'll just give you something to farm while you're waiting for them to finish doing this Drake, and then to shove this into a spot where it's pretty safe for you to actually farm, because you can stay in lane and you can farm. But at the moment, you got nothing better to do because you can't contest this and you can't walk into the lane to farm. You have to wait until they shove it. So walking forwards here, this is pretty much what kills you, and there was no reason for it. And yeah, again, I guess you weren't expecting her to chase, but yeah. I still don't have enough gold for Eclipse, unfortunately. I think in this situation, I would just sell my boots for Eclipse, honestly, because it's just too big a prospect in lane, and boots don't do a whole lot at this part of laning phase still. With Eclipse, maybe you might stand a chance at getting a big shot down off of Misfortune. Blitz lands a hook. Nice root. Yeah, here, you definitely don't have lane power at this point. You have no vision of the enemy bot lane. What I would do here, again, is just do the Gromp. Kane shouldn't mind. He's got, just finished Wolves, just finished Blue. His Krugs are up, his Red is going to be up soon. He doesn't mind just going topside here. So you definitely can't really do anything here until you watch them shove this in. Because at the moment, even if they don't show up in lane, maybe they're just sitting in the brush trying to cheese you. Probably they're not actually doing that, and you're just going to shove this and there's going to be no consequences, but someday there will be consequences. Yeah, right now, like, Kane doesn't even go for the Gromp. The moment I would definitely not do this. You don't have vision of Try. Zach could be around. You definitely want to get some vision for anything else. And yeah, then again, I would... now you're definitely not going to be able to farm probably until they shove this in. So I would just do Gromp. Well, I guess, yeah, you have enough gold for Eclipse now. So that makes sense to back for that here. Although, I still wouldn't do it though. Because you just miss out on an entire wave while you're full HP and full mana. It just feels unnecessary. This is really good though. I don't know why they just conceded that wave, but they did. So at this point, you've just shoved this in. And now, if you were to back now, right about here, trying to save as much time as possible, you will be able to back for the Eclipse. Even if there's a fight happening here, I would not even, like, cancel my recall here and join this. It's not worth it. You want to get your Eclipse and be as strong as possible. That's just me though. Could be the wrong call. But yeah, look, it takes you so long to get here, and then what is there left to do here? His set gets here. Might actually be able to do something now. I'm not sure I would have gone for the ultimate there. But it seems you don't need to use it defensively anyway, so no cost for that. That actually worked out pretty well then. Okay, yeah, at this point I guess the death time is so long, you can actually just walk up here and shove this out. But it's also pushing towards you, so it wouldn't have been a big deal to just back there and let it push into you and arrive to a big ass wave while Misfortune misses out on a bunch. But yeah, definitely want to back here and not do anything to this turret. Okay, right back at the lane. I guess your turret will probably go down here. Yep. So yeah, right now you just gotta wait for them to push this in. Don't have time to do Gromp either. I don't know how your team has ended up here, but I guess that's a good thing because it kind of forces the enemy bot lane to walk up to them. So usually it would be a bit risky to shove here when you don't have vision, but like right now I'll just place a trinket there and just keep shoving. There's no point in doing Gromp when there's a wave to shove. Should be pretty safe because you knew the enemy bot lane had to go mid and respond to that. So even though usually this would be pretty unsafe, it was actually pretty safe there. So right now you're just taking a bunch of neutral resources when you could have at least shoved first. Made the enemies miss some CS, and potentially that camp could have just gone to Kayn. Both of those camps could have gone to Kayn, potentially. But yeah, should be shoving this in now. And then also I would have just kept hitting the turret as long as I knew it was safe. Basically, camps are only there to farm as an ADC when you don't have anything better to do. If you can be shoving a wave, you shove the wave. Then if it's unsafe for you to shove another wave, or it's unsafe for you to hit the turret, then you can go back and get that camp. But there's no point doing camps while there's minions killing each other. While you are able to farm those. You might be a little bit too close to the Zac there. I want to get CC'd. By the way, on this patch, I would definitely be doing Q-Max on Xayah. Even if you're not rushing Essence River, it should still be worth. It's really strong at the moment. That's another point. Rushing Essence River might be better at the moment. If even if you're doing lethality. It's really strong because it synergizes so well with Q-Max, which is what you should be doing anyway. Need solo kill. Don't know exactly what prompted Zac to set to go for that, but I do know that while you can't follow up on that, there should be a pretty free mid-wave approaching right about then. I would have done that and then moved to Gromp. No, what is that? Scuttle. No, not Scuttle. Herald. Obviously, their team was a bit preoccupied killing set there, so it was pretty free. How much gold do you have? 1500, 1400. Guess you need about 300 gold for Essence Reaver. Oh shit. Nice ult. Wanna gamble trying to juke that? Yeah, not the bravest. It's a brave turn, but not necessarily what you want to do here, because you have a mini wave approaching behind you. You also would be easily able to chase you down. You know you only have Kayn around. You don't know how many members they have around. Want to run. There's a good angle to fight for you to fight from, but you don't have mana, so it's kind of awkward. Possible I would be pinging your team back, but it's not gonna make a difference really. We know that. Looking to be pretty good for you though. Did you flash there? Yeah, that was unnecessary. But I'm sure you know that. Alright. Should have enough for Essence River here. Yep, so you seem to have won the fight, so that's really good. At this point, a little bit alive. Just Zac, so you can afford to shove out one more wave. You've already got the Essence River anyway, but there's just nothing stopping you shoving out an extra wave. You know there's not going to be a fight within the next like 30 seconds. No objectives to back for. So you got all the time in the world to go for this and all the safety as well. Maybe even go for the Gromp after, but that's more pushing it. If the enemy bot lane just runs instantly towards you, that would be bad. You also don't want to back random vision of Zac. That could be pretty dangerous. If the enemy bot lane is running straight towards you as soon as they're revived. Want to run a bit further back out of vision and then it would be safe. Doing Cure just rewatching, or just watching bots, just watching a bot. What are my viewers? Yeah, I would have just gone for bot wave here. Yeah, you can see right now that Seth has no intention of pathing towards bot. Kali's farming mid. There's already shoved the wave, but there's another wave there. Yep, doesn't seem like she wants to go bot. Somebody should probably go top as well, but that could be Seth. The moment, definitely somebody should go grab this wave. Because there's a cannon there. There's also going to be another wave crashing in here. There's no reason to immediately just group with your team. There should be no reason to suspect a fight happening. Red buff is pretty enticing, but in the long run, this red buff probably doesn't matter. Not unless it gets you like 3 kills in a team fight. That's about to happen. Otherwise, you can just go bot, and that gold is going to be forever. Same for the XP. You can just grab red buff later on. Or even if you don't ever get it, that's fine. I would prioritize farm over buffs generally. Go ball with Nasher being on the objective on the map. I mean, if there's a threat of them actually getting Nash, then sure. But I mean, look at this. Blitz has complete vision of the entire top side here. The enemy is nowhere near. We can already see that they're nowhere near in position to actually go for that Baron. Is there any risk of that really happening? Nope. It's another thing entirely if the map is entirely dark. You don't know where the enemies are. Your team is like forced back into like your side of the map because you are just weaker than the enemies. You don't want to risk them engaging on you, and they could just like turn onto Baron in a whim, but in an instant. But if you just go bot here, it would take them so long to even set themselves up on the Baron. You have plenty of time to move for that. Like at the moment, even Kayn is fine to just farm bot side camps and use the smite on them. Nothing's gonna happen. You have to think about whether Baron is actually a risk being taken. Usually it's, well, not usually it's fine to farm bot, but a lot of the time it is fine to farm bot, even like 30 minutes into the game. The enemy team has to have already a setup onto Baron for that to be, for that to backfire. Like the only risk would be if you like kept on shoving. Because at that point, you've given them, here they've only had like a few seconds to react and think, do we want to maybe do Baron's Eyes bot? You can't just like teleport onto it and just instantly start it and burst it down, right? If you keep on shoving, then it just gives them more time to pull the trigger on that, and it gives you less time to just start walking over. But again, like, if your team has just so much control of the map anyway, you can actually just keep shoving. If the enemy team is forced back to here for whatever reason, I mean, here it's partially because you're here, right? But in general, if that sort of thing has happened, well, you wouldn't want to farm if your team is grouped here, right? You need to group with your team. But in general, like, if the enemy is forced back to here, to here, to here, and they're just so far away from Baron, there's like nothing they can do to start Baron even if you're pushing all the way up to here. It would take them so long to push your team back and actually start that. They'd have better chances of just forcing a 5v4. And your team, in theory, should just be able to easily avoid that. Oh wow. Okay, what happened here? Okay, so you respected the Zac. Good. Definitely over chasing here. I don't know why Seth is there, but just because he's there doesn't mean you should be there. Probably, I think what you should have done there was probably just hit the turret. Let me see. Yeah, so Zac skips with low HP, and that's a bit unlucky, but whatever. You can't keep chasing here, especially when you see Misfortune passing towards you. Maybe what you could do is hit Misfortune here while Seth is going in on her, because you do have your ultimate for safety, so even if you take the red aggro here, it would not be a disaster, hopefully. But yeah, I mean, you're not hitting her. You're not doing anything here. You also don't have too many cooldowns to hit her with, but at the same time, you can at least prevent yourself getting one shot if you're just approaching this with the perspective of, I'll hit Misfortune and then ult whenever she's about to kill me. To be fair, that was a bit unexpected burst. Honestly, I did not see that coming either, but you weren't even hitting her when that's what you should have been doing. Like, she was fighting you, but you weren't fighting her, which is partially a reason why you may not have thought to ult there. And again, it was just really because you got burst down so unexpectedly. I guess that was the Dark Harvest to play.
Blue team's inhibitor has been destroyed. Shut down.
Okay, so yeah, Drake is already up here. You don't want to stop for wolves or anything. You just want to group instantly. The fight could happen at any moment right now, and your team would be right to go for that. He's the one to try and get some picks before Drake. Although, well, your set isn't here, but he does have TP. Nice. Your Kane did not need to lose that much HP, but whatever. At this point, though, no point fighting. You've already got the objective. Why are you fighting here? I don't know if it was entirely your decision, but like I could see you posturing for the fight. So here, like, what's the point? You've already got the objective. You got a midwave pushing in. What you can do now is you can just take all your camps. Maybe even the enemy camps. Nah, but at the moment they're 5 and you're 4, so no, wouldn't go for the enemy camps. You can just take your camps, get some vision around top side, start prepping the Baron since you have inhib down on mid lane. The moment your team should not be inviting themselves to be engaged on. I guess it makes sense to go on Salus there if your team has just been engaged on, but yeah, like for overall for your team, I would just be spamming them here. There's no reason to fight. That doesn't fight though. Yeah, it works out well for you. Sometimes it just be like that. You make the wrong macro call, but you just win anyway. Whatever. Yeah, at this point there's just nothing left to do except end, I guess. But I have a feeling your team did that even without knowing that Zed had TP. The worst part, it was a bit lucky that Zed did have TP. Alright, well, hope you found that helpful. How to make the call between split push or grouping? It depends. Like, if my team was grouped on mid, and there's a big ass wave on bot lane, and nobody's going for that, I'll take it. If while I'm farming that bot wave, they move towards Herald, or move towards top lane, and just start fighting top lane, is it realistic for me to be able to move from bot all the way to top in time to participate in that fight? No. So I just split. Because if their entire team is top, just fighting the fight, I'll just spam ping my team back or hope that they just have it 4v5, because either way, they've already made the mistake of fighting without me. That's not my fault. Best thing I can do at that point is just to keep pushing, get more waves onto myself, and if I can get a turret on top of that, excellent. But even without a turret, it's just super worth to just keep farming waves instead of trying to walk all the way from bot to top and not even going to be there in time to do anything most of the time. Split push is like rarely like your ideal scenario where you don't want to be like, oh, I hope I can get the split push this game. It's more like adapting to the situation. If you end up in a situation where it's best to just keep pushing waves, maybe even keep pushing a turret if there's still nobody around to contest you, then you just do it, you know? Not like Fiora where you go into where you like plan out in advance, you know? Split push. We are ahead or won a previous fight clearly, then isn't it better to always fight to accelerate the gold lead? Sort of. I mean, it's a bit, the thing is the fights are a bit coin flip, and you don't want to just take any fight. You would want to take fights in the most favorable conditions possible. You have to consider, like, when we stomped the first fight, why did we stomp it? Did everything go right for us? Or is it just like our team fighting is so good it's unlosable, you know? Sometimes your Zac might hit like an E right on top of the enemy carry, and the Yasuo comes it with his ult, and the enemy carry just gets completely one-shot. In the next fight, maybe the fight begins with Zac just engaging onto their front line because he can't find anybody better, or their carry flashes it. This time the fight goes much worse, you know? Think about exactly why the fight went right the first time and whether you can just replicate that the second time. But either way, like, there's no point just instantly walking into the enemy team, fighting them, killing them, you get a turret, you back, and you walk into them and fight again. What about the waves? Why don't you grab a bot wave? Because at that point, there probably is some waves pushing into either bot or top. And you can also, once you've shoved out those waves, especially in mid lane, you can like go with your team and play some vision. then at that point, if the enemy team doesn't want to just fight you, well, with your superior vision control, you can either go for picks or you can just start Baron, and they can't do anything about it because they don't have vision of it. It is very pointless to just like walk straight into mid or just wherever the enemy team is and just hope they will fight you, you know? There's no guarantee that they will, and if they will, it's because they think they're also going to win the fight, right? Especially if you have a numbers disadvantage. But it's pointless. You want to go for the more guaranteed plays, which means taking the right... taking your time to just find the right fight, you know? Not just taking any fight that you find. And while you're waiting for that, you're farming. Maybe catching a side wave, maybe farming wolves. Waiting for your team to be grouped at the right time. As soon as they've all farmed their camps, as soon as they've placed all their vision, you know?